detailed steps, complete steps of the whole sales process. Because in chapter 5, I share with you the 3 basic steps, right? The chat, the share story, and then remove all risk. So if you just understand those 3 basic steps, you will do fine. But if you want to learn more, then I'll have the more complete step for you. So even before the closing actually start from the beginning, it doesn't start from the end. So you have to, if you do everything correct from the beginning, then it's gonna be much easier for you to close. So even before it goes to presentation or goes to sales session, you gotta send the pre-sale package. In the pre-sale package, you want to have success story, you want to have numbers, you want to have reviews. So basically, it helps for the customer to get to know you before you meet with the customer. This is very effective because let's say if most salesperson, they just go into a sales presentation without the client knowing anything about them. So you're going cold turkey. That's very difficult. That's not very effective because they don't trust you, they don't understand you, they don't know who you are. They're not gonna hear what you have to say, right? So for example, every time before I go to the listing presentation, we send my listing pre-sale package link. So in there on top, it's gonna say, it's gonna show my performance. How many homes I have sold, how much more money I usually get for the sellers, and then we'll have client review, video review, text reviews, and it's gonna have the numbers, my performance. It's also gonna show that I have donated to people. I make donations. So that way, a lot of times by the time when I go meet with the seller, they already know who I am. They already have a trust in me because they see the social proof. They see that everybody else has been saying that I'm good, right? Then once you send the pre-sale package, then you want to prepare for the meeting, for the sales session. So before I go to the listing presentation, I study the home. I know exactly how much the home is worth. And I know how much more money people are willing to pay in the neighborhood. I know how much less money people are willing to pay in the neighborhood. And I make sure that I understand everything about the property. So so that way when I go meet with the seller, I'm 100% confident because in my mind, I have 100% clarity about how much this home is worth. Let's say if you do not understand about the home and if you go meet with the seller, you're not going to be clear. You're not going to have a clear mind. If you do not have a clear mind, how can you be confident? You cannot. So that's how I'm always confident when I go meet with the seller because I already study everything about the property. I also study everything about the seller. I study as much as I can, what job they do, what their experience are, how many homes have they sold before, so that I understand the seller, I understand the product. So that way, when I go in with 100% confidence. So we talked about in last session, we talked about already how to discover disc, right? We also talked about how to identify disc and the reason you want to identify disc because you want to talk according to their preference. So then I'm going to talk again about how to establish connection. So I sort of talked about a little bit last time. You want to have this connection. So you want to open them up because let's say if the whole time they're talking with their arm crossed, then you're not going to get anywhere. So usually right before I go in there outside the door, I put on a shoe cover. It shows to the seller that I respect them, right? You have to show that you respect them. So, but you're not trying to back them. So what's wrong with a lot of salespeople is they try to back the customer. Oh, please, can you buy my product? You cannot do that. People don't care about how pitiful you are. They just care about their benefits. What is in it for me, right? If they can see the benefit, if they can see that by dealing with you, they can get a higher status, then they're gonna buy with you. If you just by begging, you're not gonna get anywhere. So that's what. But I do show respect. Sometimes a lot of agents, a lot of a lot of salespeople, they don't. The way they carry themselves is either too over the top or either too look too pitiful. You want to show to them that you can benefit them. You want to show them you respect them. At the same time, you want to show them the status. You have the status. By dealing with you, they can get a higher status and they can get better products. Okay? So obviously you gotta be honest. You gotta show respect, and you gotta kind of praise a little bit. So but you don't want to do it too bluntly. Oh, you're handsome, you're rich. Don't say that kind of stuff. It's where it sounds very cheesy, right? So what I do is usually, let's say, if they say, oh, I own 5 homes, and then I'd be like, oh, I hope I can own 5 homes. So you want to talk like you envy them, right? Also, some people, for example, if I'm talking to an older gentleman, if he's in his 80s, I would say, wow, I wish I can look like you when I'm 80. something like that, right? Just something that settle. It shows that you appreciate them, that you give them some praises, right? So so that's how you establish connection. So you want to show the status, you want them to like you and trust you. If they don't like you, if they don't trust you, you're not gonna get a deal. Okay. And also, you want to make sure they open up. How do you open up? You ask question, then you sit there and listen. Sometimes in the beginning, if they just meet with you, maybe they're not gonna try to answer your questions. Then you want to share something about yourself, because if you only ask questions, they're not gonna talk because they feel like it's their private situation. But if you share something about you that's private to them, then because they see that you share your private information, then they're gonna reciprocate, and then they're gonna share more. So you repeat this process until they open up to you, because it's very important. If they're not open up to you, if they're still talking to you with their arms crossed the whole time, doesn't matter what you do, they're not gonna sign the paperwork. They're not gonna do business with you. So remember I was talking about the chat session, the share story, and the answer questions. You do not move to share story until they have opened up to you. Okay, so we talk about the disc. I think that's sufficient. From the last session where we talk about why you need to do disc, and we talk about the discover why. You get to the whom and what, and you get the why. And some of the questions you can ask when you try to figure out the why and the whom, you can ask them. For example, so I'm in real estate, right? So I usually ask them, what made you want to sell your home? What's most important for you in selling the home? What do you need to prepare before you sell the home? So you want to ask these questions. So basically you want to ask the questions in different ways, but you don't want to make it sound like interrogation. You want to make it more like a chatting, right? So to them it feels like you're chatting, but in the back of your mind, you're trying to find the answers to all these questions. What's their disc personality? What's the reason they're selling? What's their motivation? What's their why? And what price they want to sell the home? So you want to figure out exactly what they want, right? So some people, they say if what's most important is the price, and then you're gonna figure out what price they have in mind. And some people they say what's important for them is timing. For example, I was talking to this seller, the bank's gonna take his home away. So to him, the timing would be most important. Let's say if you always assume people only want to get a higher price, then they're not gonna listen to you, because in their mind they try to get some money before the bank take their home. So that's why to them it's more important to get the home sold as quickly as possible. So you must understand what the customer want. Cannot make any assumptions. Then once you know exactly what they want, then you want to lower the expectation. Why? Because a lot of times, for example, there's homeowners, a lot of times they think highly of their home. The homes may be worth $1 million, but they think it's worth $1.5 million. So that's why when you tell them about the price, when you talk to them about the price, you want to lower expectation. For example, you can say, okay, the interest rate, I don't know if you are aware, the interest rate just increased to 5%. Prices is probably going to change. The market's probably going to change. So that they know that maybe they cannot be overpriced, right? List the price property at an overpriced. And also you want to make sure that to show them some sense of urgency. You can do the same thing with this, right? Because you're telling them, hey, the interest rate just increased 5%. Because in their mind they know, well, that means the market may change, so that I better make my decision quickly. Otherwise they're probably gonna take their time. They take their time. They're gonna say, oh, I'm gonna sell next year, summer, whatever. Then tell them, hey, it may not be the best thing to do to postpone, because the market interest rate has already changed and the market's gonna change. And then you want to figure out the price. So you never want to talk about the price. You want to talk about it, but you don't want to say the price. Because let's say if you think the home is worth $1 million and the seller thinks the home is worth $1.5 million, and if they ask you, so how much do you think my home is worth? And you tell them $1.5 million, then they're gonna cross you out right away. You're not gonna get the business, because they're gonna be pissed off, because they think it's worth 1.5 and you think it's only worth 1 million. Then they're not gonna do business with you. So no matter what the customer asks you, never say the price. Let's say if they insist on asking you to tell them the price, then the most you can say is give them a range. Then you could say, oh, I think it's probably somewhere between $1 to $1.1 million. If you have to say it, okay. And also what you could do is you could ask them, so if I can bring you a cash buyer tomorrow and close the deal in 5 days, how much would you sell? So you always want to make sure they tell you the price. So you basically you're talking with them, you're giving them guidance so that they can come up with the answers. Because when they come up with the